Okay, so today, before you turn in your drafts, I want you to see some of the things that I am seeing with regards to your citations. So these are all citations from your final closed memo. Let's get started. So I'm not dumb. I know that most of you use copy citation, whether it be from Westlaw or Lexis, but copy citation has a lot of issues. And let me show you some of them. So here, if you were on Lexis, you would see the Johnson v. East Coast Waffle case. Here it says Johnson v. Waffles, and you would hit copy citation. On Westlaw, you see Johnson versus East Coast Waffles, and you would hit copy citation. And this is the correct citation for that case. Johnson v. East, although the East has been abbreviated according to T6, Coast Waffles, then the case number, since it was a slip opinion, and then the Lexis number, just for an example, and the court and the full date. If you hit copy citation in Lexis, this is what you saw. Johnson v. Waffles, and then the other information. But notice the difference between the names of the second party. Well, when we looked at the Westlaw slide, it had the whole name, right? But when you hit copy citation on Westlaw, this is what you get. Johnson v. Waffles. Again, the proper site is East Coast Waffles. Why does this make a difference? Well, this makes a difference because looking here, there is 2 citation errors because you missed 2 parts of a name. For those of you that use Lexis and you're going, well, how would I have ever known about East Coast Waffles? Because all Lexis shows me is Johnson v. Waffles. I want you to pay close attention to the actual names of the parties, which is shown down below. So here you would have seen Herbert Johnson plaintiff versus East Coast Waffles defendant. That would have put you on notice that the name of the company wasn't just Waffles, but it was East Coast Waffles. Oh, that's just one case, Professor Cleon. It doesn't happen all the time. Let's go to Amerihaus. So on Lexis, when you hit copy citation, this is what you get. Amerihaus versus Metro Dade CTY period with the site. If you hit Westlaw copy citation, you get the same name, except for you will notice that the Westlaw copy citation and the Lexis copy citation have different abbreviations for county. So let's go back to the trusty blue book. We look at T6 and look up county, you will see that county should be abbreviated CNTY, which means that Westlaw was right and the proper citation should be Amerihaus versus Metro Dade County, 534 Southern 2nd, 812. Be careful. Finally, just to prove a point, if you go to Lexis, you will see Lexis says Bryan versus Galley Made Marine Products for the case. If you go to Westlaw, you see Bryan versus Galley Made Marine Products, Inc. for the name of the case. The proper citation for the case is Bryan versus Galley Made Marine Products, Inc. Again, if you went to Lexis and you just looked at the title of the case, you may not know that because right here you will see that it ends with prods. But if you go to the names of the parties on Westlaw, you will see the full name of the case. The Inc. for this case is required because products does not necessarily indicate that it is a company or that it has been incorporated. So according to the Blue Book, you need to include the Inc. Look, folks, I'm not against copy citation. It is what it is. It's part of our time. But when you copy your citations, now take the time to go through the Blue Book and make sure what you've copied is right. The majority of the work has already been done for you. The numbers have all been copied, etc. But make sure that your case names are right. Now, let's talk about full sites and pin sites. This was a picture that I showed you all the very first day that we introduced citations to you. You will note that a full citation includes the case name, the volume number of the reporter, the reporter's name, the page number that the document first appears, and then a pinpoint site for where the thought that you were talking about comes from. then the court, then the date. So if I look at a paper and I see this, and I see Bryan versus Galley Made Marine Products, Inc., 287 Southern Second, 1285 Fla Fourth, TCA 2020, I would think that Bryan starts on 1285, right? Bryan starts on 1281. Instead of citing the first page that the case is found on in a full cite, you've given me the pin cite without the first page that the case starts at. Same thing for Allen. Let's look at Allen. You would think that the case started on 357, but in fact, Allen starts on page 356. Same thing for Banos Moreno. You would think that the case started on page 913, but in fact, Banos Moreno starts on page 912. So since you need to have a pin cite in there, this is what your cite should look like. Banos Moreno versus Walgreen Code, 299, Federal Appendix 912, 913, 11th Circuit, 2008. That's for full cites and pin cites. Let's talk for a second about short cites. Once you have cited a case in full form the first time, for the rest of the time during your discussion section, especially within subsections, you should be using short cites. You can use a short cite anytime it is clear to the reader what authority you are referencing and if the full citation falls in the same general discussion. You have one discussion section, so all of your cites fall within the same general discussion. That said, at a minimum, each subsection, once you have cited something the first time, everything else should be a short cite. So if you have Bryan v. Galley Made Marine Products, to short cite that, you should use the first name of the first party. Using the first name of the first party, you have Bryan 287 Southern 3rd at 285. The blue book in the blue pages 10.2 specifically says, when using only one party name in a short form citation, use the name of the first party unless that party is a geographical unit, a governmental entity, or another type of common litigant. It also says that you can shorten a long party name so long as the reference remains ambiguous. So just for the point of analysis of argument, to make that point, if by chance Bryan was a common litigant, which it's not, but again, for the sake of argument, instead of writing Galley Made Marine Products, Inc. as the name of the party that you would be using, you can simply use Galley Made and give the cite. You don't have any other cases in your universe that talk about Galley Made Marine Products or anything similar. So Galley Made would be equally as clear. So please not only use short cites, but make sure you shorten the names of the parties in your cites. And finally, id. Repeat out loud to yourself while you're sitting in that chair. There is always a period after id. What does that mean? It means if you have id alone, there is a period after id. It means if you have id at, there is a period after id and a period after the pin cite. If you are using id with a signal and it is lowercase id, there is still a period after id. See id at 843 period. There is always a period after id. And with that, I thank you. Good luck on your drafts.